Today I'm opening my personal fridge and freezer and handing over the contents to two chefs and challenging them to cook up something creative and delicious. Chefs, before you get started, you're going to have to decide whether you want the contents of my fridge or my freezer, and you're not allowed to look first.
I always feel like, given the challenge, freezer, defrost stuff for several hours, then cook with it. So in this challenge, it's always the hardest one, but you also did take the freezer last time.
Yep, and I'm gonna take it again. I enjoyed last time. I like a challenge.
Do you think that's the better of two evils?
I've been to your house, unlike Mike's, and I know the size of your freezer, so yeah, probably quite sensible.
Well, you've got your cameras. It's time to go and rummage and see what you've won.
Right, fridge, I got this one.
Ooh, ooh.
Uh-oh. Salad cream is very Jamie, we'll have to use that. Plenty of protein options, pork, chicken, cooked pork.
I feel like I'm being judged.
Kimchi.
Captain Spain is here. I've got some patatas con aliolio.
Do you reckon that's what it actually is?
Well, no, it looks red inside. Cat food, solid. And nothing's labelled in here, Spaff.
A handful of fresh things, some corn, some tomatoes. I didn't have you down as a double radish man. 2 bags of them.
Nah, it looks like he's taken most of his kids' food and has brought it here. What are they eating? This is going to be tricky, but I think that's pulled pork. Is that pulled pork?
It might be, I don't know.
You don't know?
Don't know.
That looks like...
Unlabelled, don't know.
So I think the way I use my freezer...
As a bin? What is that?
Yeah, that's...
That's not worth freezing.
So, before I say anything, did one of your kids make this?
Well, no, I probably made it for them.
But it's got 2 different shades of pasta in it.
You opening the contents of my freezer in front of me is like looking in a mirror and suddenly realising that what I do and the system that I have is not in any way sensible.
It's pretty diabolical, really, because this says rawsome bites.
Yep.
So I'm thinking kids container, maybe some kids' snacks ready for you to defrost quickly.
So Evers, I do think you've got the easier job with my fridge.
I think the ingredients are fairly simple. I think we're absolutely going to have to tap the store cupboard because it is just protein and veg and condiments and seasoning, which is fine. You'd kind of expect that in a fridge. So I've added maybe some rice. We might even do flatbread. But we want one dish or just some inspiration around a few things that could be done with your fridge?
I think you should
challenge myself to
one dish.
Challenge myself to do one dish.
Just do one.
I think my dish is going to centre around that, which is a tub of hollandaise sauce.
Interesting. Okay, so that hollandaise sauce was a last-minute kind of panic purchase because I wanted to make a good Sunday morning brunch, and I have never been impressed with pre-made hollandaise sauce, but it was just a kind of a nice added touch at the end of the dish rather than the centre of the dish.
And I think exactly that. I would never bother to make it at home myself. It's one thing that I will eat out. If you're eating out, get something with hollandaise. So interesting. So I'm thinking maybe build it up a little bit and do something Benedict.
Okay, chefs, you've gathered a few other ingredients. Ready to start cooking?
Sure.
Wait.
Go for it.
Right, let's defrost the first batch of protein and sauce. I'm thinking pulled pork.
That one is definitely pulled pork. And if it's the pulled pork that I'm thinking that it is, it was a spectacular one.
Great.
Really good.
Half my job's done. This red pepper, I'm going to say salsa. It's going to defrost in that pan. And then I'm going to make some bechamel.
And what is the overarching dish that you're thinking this is going to turn into?
I can't tell you till I know what that is. So I'm gonna head somewhere.
Okay.
It's going to include rice and meat. Whether it's a tarchin, a biryani, a palau, deep-fried arancini, I don't know yet.
I've got cooked pouch rice or packet rice, and then basically I'm going to add loads of flavouring to it. So some of your lazy ginger and garlic, some sesame seeds, and deliberately, if I buy a packet, I'll toast the whole lot, because 9 times out of 10 I want toasted sesame on the top of things to finish things. But actually, quite luckily, we haven't toasted these off. They will toast with the rice, generous amount. And then I'm going to season it with a little bit of soy, a little bit of sesame oil as well, because that's what we're going to cook it in. And then we're going to fry a kind of toasted deliciousness.
Lovely. So you think this is going to form like a crispy rice cake?
Instead of a toasted muffin for our basically Benedict style dish.
What are we thinking, Kush?
Well, the bottom layer has started to melt off, and at the moment it's got almost clarified, like a consomme, but it's you, so I'm thinking salsa. I'm still saying salsa. It doesn't look like it's cooked vegetables in here.
Why don't you think?
Salsa just means sauce, though, right?
Wait,
so you can get away with that.
Oh, Spafford, it's bolognese with peppers.
Bolognese with peppers.
The peppers through in there.
I'm going to make a creme fraiche bechamel with hot sauce, because I'm trying to go, the route of preserved creme fraiche, a bit like thick sour cream.
Yep.
Preserved, hot sauce, vinegar, preserved.
Now, I'm hoping I can get away with this, Jay, because it's a non-stick pan, and I want it quite thick, because like a muffin, that way we'll get some soft rice inside and some crispy outside. It's got the oil through the rice. We'll see where we end up. Come back to that. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
I can smell something smoky over here.
Smoky.
Oh,
It's barbecue smoky.
well, let's have a taste. I've never tried your pulled pork before.
No?
No. Jamie sends me, voice notes and WhatsApp chat on weekends saying, "Oh, I just bought this."
Our WhatsApp is just literally photos being exchanged between each other of meats on barbecues.
Very nice.
Yeah?
It won't pair well with that though.
Jay, a combination of condiments in your fridge. I've gone for the kimchi to stick with the kind of Korean Benedict vibe we're going for. However, there's also salad cream in there. And I feel like it'd be rude not to find a way to use salad cream, given it's basically your middle name.
Salad cream is one of my favourite things in the world. And the colour of it. I love salad cream. I don't
You're
know.
colourblind.
I don't know how global salad cream is. I don't know how much it
It's
relates
not.
to
It
people
got
outside
left
of
in
the
the
UK.
70s.
It's just delicious. In a cheese and tomato sandwich, dipped with chips. Oh, it's the perfect condiment.
But that's the only cheese in your fridge. Which of those are you putting in a sandwich?
There is generally cheddar as well, but my fridge essentially serves two quite important jobs. One is pack lunches.
Sure.
For the kids for school, and the other is then dinners and breakfasts, I would say.
Right. Before I get onto the meat, I'm going to do some veg prep.
How many dishes, Ben?
I went for a lovely brunch at the weekend, and I had this wonderful egg cocotte. But on its own, it's not quite enough. So I did order a side of tennis stem broccoli. Perfect brunch side.
Treat yourself.
Well, it was lovely. It was with sesame and similar. So I'm going to do one dish with the side.
I'm making one dish.
Okay, what do you think that dish is now that you've tasted some stuff?
I've made a creme fraiche and hot sauce mornay. Tipped it into the pulled pork, cheddar, mozzarella that I had in my fridge, because we share cheese. I'm going to add some fried shallots. Couldn't find any fried onions, but fried shallots go in. And then some of your favourite hot jalapeno sauce.
That is great.
That is great. That's going to go in.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to put in some packet palau rice.
So, one little tip that I stole from Kush and/or Sidekick. Sometimes like a slaw really benefits from a real kick of seasoning and umami, and stock cubes do that. So if you crumble a stock cube into what you're going to make as a slaw, it does all your seasoning and umami for you. So I'm going to go with salad cream. Stock cube does need to be well crumbled. I'm also using the sriracha from his fridge.
Yep. Are you surprised by the contents of what we have in our homes?
Often, but also not. Like, I'm not surprised when we dive in and there's unlabeled products, mystery meats, because I assume, I'm having to assume this, I assume lots of people do that at home. I don't, because I've been, it's been hammered into me, everything has a label, everything has a label.
How can you operate first in, first out if you haven't dated it? Like, label and date.
Oh, right, like that. Thought you meant the other way.
Working?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think I'm going to regret this.
You like the texture?
I knew I was going to regret that.
Oh, Evers. Ebbers, how are you?
Don't know, Jay.
Right.
What I've done is I've saved it with. I started with just an egg yolk, and now I've added basically more to bind it.
Okay.
I mean, Tarchin style. But we'll see.
I know exactly what I'm making,
Yeah?
and I know it should work. So I've just added a load of corn flour to this mixture.
So this is now pulled pork,
Palau rice,
pilau rice, mornay.
Mornay with hot sauce and creme fraiche.
Yeah.
Mixing it into a semi-stiff paste and binding it with a bit of cornstarch, corn flour. And ideally, if this works like it has done in the past, I can just deep fry these off without having to pan them. So we're not making a croqueta, we're making I'm going to put it out there, a biryani ball.
Now, if we're thinking classic Benedict, I mean, probably classic is ham, right? But then also you can absolutely get Royale with smoked salmon, Florentine with spinach. But we've got your pork
Medallions.
medallions,
Yeah.
I would go with.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, if I just grill those off, but again, I want that almost Korean vibe. So if it was like bulgogi, it would be with like pear, soy, sesame, garlic. Haven't got any pear in the studio, but some other fruit I will replace for pear and do a similar kind of style marinade over the top.
Nice.
Right, I'm going rogue with your peppery bolognese. I've added pickled ginger, loads of sherry vinegar, sugar. I'm going to add some garam masala to it. I've added ketchup and chili flakes. Cook it down into like I'm going to call it a sweet red pepper chorizo chutney. I'm going to use your pina colada, pineapple and coconut flavoured alcoholic sorbet to give a bit of vibrancy to this all-in-one chutney pan thingy.
So I've put into here soy, sesame, some more of your lazy garlic, and a little bit of tinned pear. You could absolutely have used a dollop of jam, but basically you want something with sugars in it to start to give that lovely sort of caramelization. That's it, I'm going to take that off the heat and just leave it on the back here. Because I don't need to overcook, but just to cook that pork through. I really don't know how they can call this hollandaise sauce. It's stabilized with corn flour, which is the reason you can chill it, because any hollandaise normally you need to keep in suspension. Not so hot the egg scrambles, but not so cold the butter resets.
And that's the thing, it does a job where
It's a creamy
it feels
sauce.
like it's elevating your brunch, but it is not what I would describe as a great hollandaise sauce.
Yeah, I think it's a creamy butter sauce. It's not a hollandaise. Yeah. But do you know what? Does a job. Let's see what this looks like on the... Shall I just flip it? Ah.
That was such a
I
small
brought the
pan.
plate over to do it sensibly,
Yeah.
and then I thought, do you know what? Dom's focused up on an angle, I'll just flip it.
That was such a small pan, that was never going to work.
My rice has worked.
Yeah?
Yeah.
With my pulled pork.
Your pulled pork. My rice.
Have we got a peeler down here?
Are you making like a Sikh kebab now?
No, it wouldn't fit in the pan.
Right.
That'd be stupid. I'd never do that. No, I just want even portions.
Right.
So a good hack is roll your paste into a sausage, cut it, and as long as your cuts are accurate, same weight, right? Then I'll ball it up, deep fry them, and serve them with a chutney, and I'll be done in about 5 minutes.
Is that the countdown?
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to season up the water and start thinking about eggs.
Are you doing a boiled egg or a poached egg?
Poached.
With
But I
those
don't know how
eggs-
fresh Jamie's eggs are, or where he sourced them, so we'll see. Again, thinking about texture and shape, so we're getting some cucumber ribbons to go with our charred corn.
That is one of my favourite ways of doing a cucumber.
Doing a cucumber.
Preparing. In a little quick pickle?
Oh, obviously. Obviously.
That's one thing I'm surprised you didn't freeze.
A pickle.
Yeah.
I've just realised, interesting, you've got no fresh herbs in your fridge. They're all just frozen and wilted.
Yeah, because they tend to sit in the fridge for a while and then go into the freezer. So what kind of texture are we expecting from those, Kush? Are they going to be croquette-y in a way.
But yeah, they'll be like a French-style rice croquette. They won't be croqueta, Spanish way of being really kind of unctuous and liquid-scented almost. I hope to get a cheese pull out of them due to the amount of cheese in there, the mozzarella and the cheddar.
Arancini, actually, if they've got rice in them.
Arancini bound with a hot sauce bechamel with cheese. So
What's between Spain and Italy? It's kind of like, is that?
France, literally.
Yeah, some of it.
Yeah. These are fricadellen. They deep fry things.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, biryani balls, because there was palau rice in it. And creme fraiche instead of yogurt. Biryani.
Yep.
Coriander. Biryani.
Yep.
Me. Biryani. Right, here we go. Here's your meaty chutney. I threw some thyme in here to add a bit of depth. I think someone might think that that could be chorizo.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I don't tend to put chorizo in my ragu. I push limits, but I don't, I don't cross boundaries.
No, never.
Just borders.
Oh, because there's pork in it. There's spiced pork in this.
Yep.
It's a paella.
I've never seen such terrible eggs.
Indian paella balls.
Indian paella balls, yeah. Unpanade. So Mr. Panko would be really angry.
Used by the 3rd of July. Okay. I mean, what I've done is kind of save it with that. Just to get it shaped, but it's just not a very nice egg.
It'll fit nicely as a dome on top. Are we playing already? Wow.
You said 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes ago, Chef. I'm going to be honest, Jay. Your eggs aren't the freshest. So what happens...
That's really harsh.
What happens is when you put them in to poach, they just kind of go, ah, but there's technically nothing, like you don't want to get rid of them. It's just they're not good for poaching. So what I've done is crack an egg into a little glass dish and microwave it for a minute. So at least we can try and get a poached shape out of it.
Mine is a palette brown. It needs something. Oh, shall I just put a splodge of this on top? That's green.
There we go. A Korean take on a Benedict with a side.
Ebbers, having now seen the contents of my freezer, are you happy or sad about getting the fridge?
Very meat-heavy freezer. And therefore you rely on a lot of dry store and it ends up being quite brown. I'm not gutted. I think we'd have ended up in a similar brown place.
And yeah, Kush, are you happy that you got the freezer now you've seen what's in there?
Yeah, if there's one thing you do well, it's pulling pork. So, stick with what you know.
Working with the good stuff.
Yep.
Right, chefs, let's get these into the sexies and then we'll do some tasting. Kush has served 50 shades of brown. Rice and pulled pork balls, deep fried and served on top of a ragu chutney. Ben has made Benedict for the soul. A Korean take on Eggs Benedict served with a crispy rice cake and a beautiful kimchi hollandaise sauce. Served with a poached egg.
Dig into my one dish.
Looks great. Can I?
What's this?
Still got a runny yolk,
Still got runny yolk.
which is always remarkable in this studio.
Cheers, boys.
Oh.
I worry the rice cake's a bit dry.
Did you egg it?
I did egg it, but then, to be fair, so's a toasted muffin.
Yep.
I think you need to almost mash it all together.
You want it to soak up the hollandaise.
Like you would eat a bibimbap, all mixed together, then shoveled in.
Yeah.
The kimchi in the hollandaise really, really makes that. That is a lovely, lovely mix.
The salad cream is almost a halfway there because it's a bit pickly.
It's almost Kewpie mayo, mixed with sesame oil, a little bit of sriracha, and that stock cube.
I think this is great. And it's also something that I would never think of doing. I would never kind of do that as a combination.
You just freeze it, wouldn't you? Random meat and sauce, freezer. Kush will deal with it in a few months.
Speaking of which,
Save on washing up.
finger food.
Well, I think it's.
I want a cross section.
It's almost a. I'm gonna put a bit of chutney on top and try and rip it in half.
It's more meaty than cheesy. Just meat on meat.
I can taste all of my pulled pork in there.
I was going to say, it doesn't lose your barbecue.
No, it's got the barbecue flavour, but actually extending that out with the rice and then a Mornay with hot sauce in it adds a different element.
What is the sticky, chewy ragu on the bottom?
So it was what we first thought was a salsa was actually an odd bolognese. We'll leave it there. With sherry vinegar, garam masala, pickled ginger, some thyme in there, some chili flakes. So the thyme and the chili flakes giving that jerk vibe. The sherry vinegar and the sugar giving it the Spanish vibe. Basically trying to hide the fact that it was an extra protein.
Hide.
But in a good way.
Yeah.
Utilise the fact that it was an extra protein.
It's absolutely delicious, and it's one of those dishes where it feels like you've taken 5 darts and thrown them at a map.
And what's not the freshest of fresh, even that green on top does help cut through.
And that's the thing, I mean, you can see on both plates where there would be additions from more fresh and more things like that to elevate both things. But as a challenge, just cooking from the freezer and store cupboard, just cooking from the fridge and store cupboard, how did you find it?
I found it a lot easier than Mike's because you'd done all the hard work with that pork. I just extended it and turned it into balls.
And it's not lost. You can still taste all that barbecue, which is lovely.
Where Mike's, I had to butterfly a chicken nugget at one point, so.
Whereas I think, in all honesty, once I'd picked a location for Eggs Benedict, it was easy to take all the stuff you had and just put it in that place. With store cupboard ingredients, we had the sesame seeds, the soy, and the roasted sesame oil. Together with everything else you had was pretty much there.
Well, over to you. If you liked that video, give it a like and let us know which dish you would most like to try.